The New Year sun rose slowly over Zamoni village, spreading gold light across the red earth. Drums sounded far away, calling people to greet the first morning of the year. Smoke rose from cooking fires. Children laughed. Goats bleated. The air smelled of palm wine, wood smoke, and fresh rain. Inside a small clay house near the edge of the village sat Mama Njay, an old black woman with silver hair and deep eyes. Her back was bent by years, but her spirit was still strong. She wore a faded indigo cloth and leaned on a carved walking stick made from Iroko wood. That stick was older than the village itself. The elders said it once belonged to an ancestor who spoke with spirits. Mama Njay listened to the drums with a quiet smile. New Year's Day was sacred. It was the day ancestors walked closer to the living. It was a day of blessings, warnings, and truth. But that morning, her heart felt heavy. Footsteps approached the house. Sharp. Fast. Angry. The door opened without greeting. Her daughter-in-law, Sade, stood in the doorway. She was young, dressed in bright clothes, her eyes hard like stone. Behind her stood Kato, Mama Njay's only son. He would not look at his mother. Mama Njay slowly raised her eyes. "Happy New Year," she said softly. Sade did not answer. Instead, she crossed her arms and spoke cold words that cut the air like a blade. "Old woman," she said, "this year will be different. We are sending you to a nursing home." The drums outside seemed to stop. The fire crackled once, then went silent. Mama Njay's hand trembled on her stick. "A nursing home?" she asked. "Yes," Sade said. "You are too old. Too slow. Too much trouble. This house needs peace." Kato shifted his feet. Sweat ran down his face though the morning was cool. Mama Njay looked at her son. "Is this true?" He swallowed. "Mother, Sade has decided. It is for the best." The old woman closed her eyes. Outside, a sudden wind rushed through the village. Dust rose. Palm trees shook. Somewhere, a dog howled. The elders always said, when the wind moves without reason, the ancestors are listening. Mama Njay stood slowly. Her joints ached, but her voice was steady. "This land buried my husband," she said. "This house heard my prayers. This fire cooked food for you when you were a child." Sade laughed softly. "That was long ago." Mama Njay's eyes opened, dark and deep like a river at night. "Long ago is never dead," she said. "It watches." Sade rolled her eyes. "We leave at sunset. Prepare yourself." She turned and walked away. Kato followed without a word. The door closed. Silence filled the house. Mama Njay sat down heavily. Her chest burned. Not from sickness, but from pain. She reached into a small leather pouch hanging on the wall. Inside was a cowrie shell necklace and a piece of white chalk. These were not ordinary objects. They were gifts from the mountain shrine, given to her when she was young and chosen by the ancestors. She whispered, "Ancestors, did you hear this?" The fire flickered. A low sound filled the room. Like a breath. Mama Njay's eyes widened. Outside, the sky darkened for a moment, even though it was still morning. Clouds moved fast. Birds flew away from the trees. She stepped outside with her walking stick. The village was restless. People whispered. Some looked away when they saw her. Others bowed their heads in respect. At the center of Zamoni village stood the ancient baobab tree. Its roots spread like giant snakes. Elders said it was older than memory. Spirits lived inside its hollow heart. Mama Njay walked toward it slowly. Each step felt heavy. As she reached the tree, the drums began again, but not by human hands. The sound came from nowhere and everywhere. Boom, boom, boom. She placed her hand on the tree. The ground vibrated. A cold wind wrapped around her. Then she heard a voice. Not loud. Not soft. It came from inside her bones. "Daughter of the soil, why do you cry on the day of beginnings?" Tears filled her eyes. "They cast me away," she whispered. "On New Year's Day." The wind grew stronger. "Blood that forgets its source will dry," the voice said. "A door is closing, but another is opening." The tree creaked. A vision flashed before her eyes. She saw fire. She saw water rising from the river. She saw Sade screaming. She saw Kato kneeling in dust. She saw herself standing tall, young again, glowing with ancestral light. Mama Njay gasped and fell to her knees. Village women rushed toward her, shouting. Elder Baba Tunde, tall and thin, came forward with his staff. "What did you see?" he asked. Mama Njay looked up, fear and power mixing in her eyes. "The ancestors have awakened," she said. "And they are not pleased." Thunder rolled far away. The river behind the village began to swell. That night, as the sun sank red into the savannah, Sade packed Mama Njay's small bag without care. She did not notice the owl watching from the roof. She did not hear the whisper in the wind speaking her name. Mama Njay stepped out of the house for the last time. She touched the doorpost gently. "Truth walks slowly," she said. "But it always arrives." As they walked toward the road, the drums beat again, louder, faster. The new year had begun. And with it, an ancient reckoning. The road out of Zamoni village was narrow and dusty. Tall grass bent on both sides as Mama Njay, Sade, and Kato walked in silence. The sun was already hot, yet the air felt strange, thick, as if something unseen was following them. Mama Njay walked slowly, leaning on her Iroko stick. With every step, memories rose in her mind. This was the same road where she once walked as a young bride. The same path where she carried Kato on her back. Now, it led her away like a stranger. A crow landed on a dry tree and cried loudly. Mama Njay stopped. "That bird does not cry for nothing," she said. Sade clicked her tongue. "Old stories again. Walk faster." The crow flapped its wings and flew ahead, landing farther down the road, waiting. Mama Njay's heart tightened. They reached the riverlands by noon. The water was usually calm, but today it moved fast and dark. Foam formed on the surface like angry breath. Fishermen stood on the banks, confused. "This river is restless," one said. "It has not moved like this in many seasons." Mama Njay knelt and touched the water. It was cold, too cold for this time of year. "The ancestors are stirring," she whispered. Sade pulled Kato's arm. "Do not listen to her." But Kato's eyes stayed on the river. Fear flickered in his face, then disappeared as he looked away. They crossed the river by a wooden bridge. Halfway across, the bridge creaked loudly. Crack! A rope snapped. The bridge shook. Sade screamed. Mama Njay planted her stick firmly and began to hum an old song, soft, deep, and slow. The humming calmed the shaking. The bridge settled. They crossed safely. Sade stared at Mama Njay, shaken but angry. "What did you do?" Mama Njay said nothing. The crow flew overhead again. By evening, they reached a small roadside shelter where travelers rested. A fire burned in the center. Hunters sharpened spears. A queen's messenger sat quietly, his face hidden by a hood. As Mama Njay sat near the fire, sparks rose into the darkening sky. She felt eyes watching her. An old hunter approached her. His hair was white, his face marked with tribal lines. "You carry a heavy shadow," he said. "And a heavy light." Mama Njay met his gaze. "I did not choose this path." He nodded. "Paths chosen for us are often the most dangerous." Suddenly, the wind howled. The fire flared high. Sparks turned blue for a moment, an impossible color. People gasped. The messenger stood up. "The spirits are close," he said. "No one must travel tonight." Sade scoffed. "We continue at dawn." That night, Mama Njay dreamed. She stood in a forest where trees whispered her name. Drums beat beneath the ground. A tall woman appeared before her, skin dark as night, eyes glowing gold. "I am Queen Nyasha, mother of mothers," the spirit said. "Your blood has been disrespected." Mama Njay bowed. "The young forget the old," Queen Nyasha continued. "But roots hold the tree. Tomorrow, a choice will be made. Pain will teach what words cannot." Mama Njay woke with tears on her face. At dawn, they continued toward the city where the nursing home stood, a cold place of stone and iron. As they walked, clouds gathered. Thunder rumbled though no rain fell. Sade grew uneasy. Her head ached. She felt watched. By midday, her foot slipped on a rock. She fell hard, twisting her ankle. She screamed in pain. Kato rushed to her. "Can you stand?" She tried, and fell again. Mama and Jay stepped forward slowly. "Do not touch me," Sade snapped. Mama and Jay stopped. Pride closes the door to help. Sade clenched her teeth but said nothing. The crow landed nearby and stared. The sky darkened suddenly. A voice echoed, not loud, but powerful. "Honor the womb that bore your blood." The ground shook lightly. People on the road froze. Kato fell to his knees, trembling. Sade's eyes widened in fear. Mama Njeri raised her stick. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. The wind roared through the savannah, bending grass flat to the earth. Far away, the river overflowed its banks. The ancestors were rising. And the journey was no longer just a journey, it was a trial. The road to the city curved through the whispering forest, a place feared by travelers. Tall trees blocked the sun. Their leaves rubbed together, making sounds like voices sharing secrets. Even birds were silent there. Sade limped badly now. Her ankle had swollen like a ripe fruit. Each step made her hiss in pain, but she refused help. Kato supported her, yet his hands shook. Mama Njay followed behind, calm and steady. The forest did not frighten her. It recognized her. As they entered deeper, the air grew cool. The wind stopped. The world felt held in a breath. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the path ahead. It was a young woman, dressed in white cloth, her feet bare. Her face looked familiar. Too familiar. Kato stopped. "Who are you?" The woman smiled sadly. "I am Abini." Mama Njay gasped softly. Abini was Kato's first wife. She had died many years ago during childbirth. The child did not survive. Sade screamed and clutched Kato's arm. "This is not real." Abini's eyes turned to Sade. "You walk on bones and laugh," she said gently. "You eat from hands you slap away." Sade shook her head wildly. "Spirits are lies." Abini turned to Mama Njay and bowed. "Mother." Mama Njay felt her knees weaken. "My child." Abini stepped closer. The forest brightened around her. "You are being taken where love does not live," Abini said. "But you still carry the key." She placed a glowing cowrie shell in Mama Njay's palm. "This shell holds truth," Abini said. "When it opens, hearts will be forced to see." With that, Abini vanished like smoke. Sade collapsed, crying. Kato sobbed openly. The forest released its breath. Birds sang again. Mama Njay closed her hand around the shell. She understood now. This journey was not about a nursing home. It was about judgment. They continued in silence until night fell. They reached a clearing near the mountains. Fires burned as travelers rested. Drums sounded low and slow. An elder woman approached Mama Njay. Her eyes were blind, but her face was sharp. "The ancestors have chosen you again," she said. "You must stand before the council of spirits at the mountain shrine." Sade screamed. "No." The blind elder struck the ground with her staff. "Your fear invited this." That night, Mama Njay climbed the mountain alone. The path glowed faintly. Spirits lined the way, hunters, queens, warriors, ancestors of blood and bone. At the shrine, she knelt. The cowrie shell cracked open. Light poured out. Voices spoke as one. "Truth has been buried. Wake it." Mama Njay saw memories not her own. She saw Sade poisoning Kato's mind with whispers. She saw Sade selling Mama Njay's land in secret. She saw greed, impatience, and shame. Mama Njay wept, not from anger, but from sorrow. At dawn, she returned. Her eyes shone with quiet power. The turning point had arrived. And nothing could stop what was coming. Morning came slowly over the mountains. Mist rolled down the slopes like white spirits walking back to sleep. The drums from the night before were silent, but their echo still lived in the air. Mama Njay returned to the camp just as the sun touched the peaks. Her face was calm, but something deep had changed. Her eyes carried a quiet fire. Kato looked up first. He rushed to her. "Mother," he said, his voice shaking. "Where did you go?" "To where truth lives," she replied. Sade sat near the fire, her ankle wrapped in cloth. Her face was pale. She avoided Mama Njay's eyes. Mama Njay sat down slowly and placed the opened cowrie shell between them. It glowed softly, even in daylight. "This journey is no longer about me," Mama Njay said. "It is about what has been hidden." Sade laughed nervously. More stories. The wind rose suddenly, strong and sharp. The fire bent sideways but did not go out. Mama Njay lifted the cowrie shell. "Let truth speak," she said. The shell opened wider. The air thickened. Images appeared in the smoke above the fire, clear as life. People around the camp gasped and stepped back. They saw Sade speaking secretly with strangers. They saw her exchanging papers for money. They saw her signing Mama Njay's land away, the land of ancestors, the land of graves. Kato screamed. "No!" He fell to his knees. Sade stood up, trembling. "This is a lie." The image changed. It showed Sade whispering into Kato's ear at night. "She is old," her voice echoed. "She is a burden. Send her away." Kato covered his face and cried like a child. Mama Njay's heart broke at the sound. Still, she stood firm. "The spirits do not lie," she said softly. The wind howled. Thunder rolled. Sade collapsed to the ground, screaming. "Stop it! Make it stop!" But the cowrie shell did not close. Another image rose, this one darker. It showed Mama Njay many years ago, selling her only gold bracelet to send Kato to school. It showed her praying all night when he was sick. It showed her bleeding hands from farming the land alone. Silence fell. Even the wind paused. Kato crawled toward his mother and held her feet. "Forgive me," he cried. "I forgot who carried me." Tears rolled down Mama Njay's face. She touched his head. "I forgive you," she said. "But forgiveness does not erase consequences." Sade screamed in rage and fear. "She is a witch. She is using spirits." The crowd murmured. Mama Njay turned to Sade. "I asked nothing from you but respect." Sade's eyes burned with hatred. "You took my place in this family." Mama Njay shook her head slowly. "No. You pushed yourself out." Suddenly, the ground shook violently. A crack opened in the earth between them. From it rose a cold wind and a deep voice. "Greed has crossed sacred ground." People ran back in fear. The blind elder from the night before appeared again, guided by spirits. "The mountain has spoken," she said. "The trial is not over." Sade tried to run, but the ground beneath her feet turned heavy, like mud. She screamed as unseen hands held her in place. Kato reached for her. "Please. She is my wife." The elder raised her staff. "Love without honor becomes poison." Mama Njay stepped forward. "Release her," she said. The unseen hands loosened. Sade fell, sobbing. Mama Njay looked at her with deep sadness. "I wanted you to be my daughter." Sade looked up, broken. For the first time, fear left her eyes, replaced by shame. "I did not think the old still mattered," she whispered. Mama Njay closed the cowrie shell. The visions faded. "The ancestors are watching," Mama Njay said. "The final judgment comes soon." Dark clouds gathered above the mountains. Drums began again, slow, heavy, and close. The climax was approaching. And no one could escape what they had sown. The sky turned the color of ash. Thick clouds rolled over the mountains, swallowing the sun. The wind grew wild, spinning dust and leaves into the air. Drums thundered from the hills, not played by human hands, but by spirits awakened long ago. People ran from the mountain path, crying in fear. Animals fled into the forest. Even the trees bent low, as if bowing. Mama Njay stood at the center of the clearing, her walking stick planted firmly in the earth. Her hair lifted in the wind, and her indigo cloth snapped like a flag. She looked small, yet unmovable. Kato knelt beside her, shaking. Sade crawled backward, her face pale as bone. The blind elder raised both hands to the sky. "The Council of Spirits has arrived," she cried. "All lies must fall. All debts must be paid." The ground split open with a loud crack. From the opening rose 3 ancestral beings. The first was a warrior, tall and broad, his body covered in glowing scars. His eyes burned like fire. The second was a queen, crowned with cowrie shells and gold dust. Her voice carried the sound of rivers. The third was a hunter, silent and dark, his shadow moving even when he stood still. The air froze. Everyone fell to the ground except Mama Njay. The warrior spoke first. "Who disrespected the womb that fed them?" The queen spoke next. "Who sold sacred land for silver?" The hunter spoke last. "Who tried to erase memory?" Sade screamed and covered her ears. "Enough. I confess." Her voice cracked as she cried. "I was afraid of old age. Afraid of poverty. I wanted comfort. I wanted power." The warrior stepped closer. Flames licked the ground beneath his feet. "Fear does not excuse betrayal." Kato crawled forward, tears streaming. "Punish me too. I allowed it." The queen looked at him. "Your silence was your sin." Mama Njay raised her stick. "Spirits," she said, her voice calm but strong. "If punishment must come, let it teach, not destroy." The spirits turned toward her. The hunter bowed his head slightly. "You still speak with mercy." The queen lifted her hand. A vision rose above them all. It showed Sade in old age, alone, forgotten, calling for help that never came. Sade screamed in terror. "No, please." Mama Njay felt pain in her chest. "That is too cruel," she said. The queen's eyes softened. "Then choose." Mama Njay closed her eyes. "I choose memory over pain," she said. "Let her live with truth." The warrior struck his spear into the ground. Fire exploded outward, but did not burn. The land shook. The vision changed. Now it showed Sade returning stolen land. It showed her caring for elders. It showed her bending low, serving instead of ruling. The spirits spoke together. "Redemption is harder than punishment." The storm began to fade. The ground closed. The spirits slowly sank back into the earth. The drums softened, then stopped. Silence fell. Sade collapsed, sobbing in the dust. Kato held her, crying. Mama Njay leaned heavily on her stick. Her strength was fading. The blind elder approached. "The ancestors have decided," she said. "The final path will be revealed at dawn." Thunder rolled once more in the distance. The climax had passed. But the cost was not yet known. Dawn arrived quietly. The storm clouds were gone. The sky opened wide and blue, washed clean by the anger of the spirits. Sunlight touched the mountains gently, as if asking permission. Birds returned to the trees. The land breathed again. Mama Njay sat on a flat stone near the shrine. Her body was weak, but her face was peaceful. The Iroko walking stick rested across her knees. Kato and Sade sat before her in silence. Sade's eyes were swollen from crying. Her pride was gone. In its place lived fear, shame, and something new, understanding. The blind elder approached slowly, guided by the sound of her staff. "The ancestors have finished speaking," she said. "Now the living must act." Mama Njay lifted her head. "I will speak," she said. Her voice was soft, but everyone listened. "I was sent away as if I was already dead," she said. "But yesterday reminded us all, the old do not disappear. They become the roots." She turned to Kato. "My son, you forgot your roots." Kato bowed his head. "I did, mother. I forgot the hands that raised me." Tears fell onto the dust. Mama Njay turned to Sade. "You feared becoming what you saw in me," she said gently. But old age is not a curse. It is a crown earned by survival. Sade collapsed forward and touched her forehead to the ground. "Forgive me," she cried. "I was blind while I still had eyes." Mama Njay placed her trembling hand on Sade's head. "Forgiveness opens the door," she said. "But walking through it is your work." The blind elder struck her staff once. "The nursing home path is closed," she declared. "The ancestral land is restored." A murmur of relief moved through the people. They returned to Zamoni village that same day. As Mama Njay stepped back onto the red earth, the wind welcomed her. The baobab tree stood tall, its leaves whispering softly. That night, the village gathered around a great fire. Drums beat, not in anger, but in rhythm. Women sang. Children danced. Elders told stories long into the night. Sade stood before the people. With shaking hands, she returned the land papers to the elders. "I tried to erase the past," she said. "But the past erased my pride instead." She knelt before Mama Njay. "I choose service," she said. From that day on, Sade changed. She rose early to fetch water for the elders. She cooked, listened, and learned. She asked Mama Njay questions and waited patiently for answers. Kato rebuilt his bond with his mother, walking beside her instead of ahead of her. Mama Njay never went to a nursing home. Instead, she became something greater. She became a living elder. People came from far villages to hear her wisdom. She spoke of patience, memory, and respect. She taught children that time is a teacher, not an enemy. Years later, when Mama Njay finally closed her eyes for the last time, the village did not cry in fear. They celebrated. The drums beat softly through the night. The wind moved gently. An owl rested on the baobab tree. The elders said her spirit had joined the ancestors, watching, guiding, remembering. And the moral was spoken clearly, so no one would forget. A society that throws away its elders throws away its soul. Honor the old, for one day, you will become them.